Hi everyone, welcome back into the Academy here at Chesterfield Golf Club. It's lovely to have you along for another video. Thank you for joining us. My name is Warren Bennett. This little tired pooch on the floor is Trev, so he should be keeping himself to himself today, not getting into too much mischief, hopefully. We're going to talk about impact today. Now obviously when the club meets the ball, it is the most important position, but obviously one we can't feel because we're swinging so hard and it's just a microsecond when the club meets the ball. So very difficult area to kind of work on, and that's why we try and get you into the correct positions to allow impact to happen pretty consistently. Now if you ever watched a lot of golf on the TV, you can see everyone's got different golf swings, backswings, everyone's got different physiques, a lot of factors in play. But you can see everyone's swings obviously slightly different, but if you actually see everyone's impact, now I'm not going to say absolutely everyone's the same, and there are slight differences, but everyone's impact positions are very similar. So the more elite the player, the more the impact's the same. Now we can actually work at impact. There's a few things that we can do to help you with impact, because if you get into a good impact position, hopefully, and everyone's different, like I always say, every human being's different, talents and things like that. But if you can get in a good impact position, hopefully the sequence beforehand will be a little bit better as well. So we can actually encourage a good impact position, because as we know, it's going so quickly we can't feel it. So let's get into it. So first thing that we can do, and this isn't hitting a golf ball, is we can actually practice what impact position we're looking for. So club behind the ball, we can actually do this with any club, and I recommend doing it against an object at the moment, which I'll show you. So club behind the ball, good posture. So remember, we're not just being sloppy here. So keep it nice and athletic, not too much in the balls of our feet. Keep the weight in the middle. Okay, so from here, now what you're after is a little bit of separation. Now you don't have to go too hard with this, especially earlier on if you're not used to it, because if you're one of those people who uses their shoulders too much, you've got to be very careful, because you're going to be twisting a bit of muscle that you're probably not used to. So what I'm doing here is keeping my shoulders pretty passive, and now twisting my trunk a little bit. So if there was an arrow, I'm pointing it over my left shoe. Now this can help a lot of factors. Okay, so we're just pushing off our right knee and our right shoe, so it's helping weight transference. And as I do this, you can see my hands are going forward as well, so it's encouraging compression. I'm not moving my shoulders, I'm just kicking my torso, my belly button forward and slightly open. So there has to be a little bit of lateral motion. So you can see with my hips, I'm moving a little bit forward as well, but there's a little twist of the hips as well at the same time. So you can see from the behind view, you can start seeing my left leg. So that's a really good impact position here. Soft with this right arm, and you can just hold. Now people who are used to not being able to release it correctly, as soon as they do this, you can see probably from the front view there, that the club starts opening up. So what you've got to be aware of is your hands start moving forward, but the club face stays square. So that's going to give you a little bit of compression with the iron shots. So what you really want to do with an iron is to make sure your hands are ahead of the ball. So we're not moving our head, we're moving just our hands. Our head pretty much stays still. So there's a kick, a twist and a hold. And if you just hold it, soft right arm. So from behind view, you'll be able to see a little bit of my left arm there. Okay, one little area. So I'm going to give you a good visual actually. So I'm going to get the sticks out. So I'm going to put a stick kind of as 90 degrees as I can to where my ball position is, in line with the ball. I'm just going to put a little V, yellow stick, kind of in line, maybe just inside my heel. Now from here, what you're looking for, let me just do that a little bit more, make it a bit harder for myself. Okay, so what you're going to look from here, and you're going to see it from the front view, is you're looking for the club to be matching up as much as you can. You probably need a mirror ahead of you, so I'm not sure if I'm doing that absolutely perfectly. But what you're looking for your head to still be over the white, everything to be kicking forward. Nice and soft with this right arm, kick and hold. Hold for 5, back. And you can see if you've got any back or stomach issues or You want to try and create a little bit more flexibility and power. This is a really good one. Remember, you're just creating a bit of separation here between the hips and your shoulders. Really good for you guys that either fat it or slice it. So you're really feeling this inside with the right arm. A little bit exaggerated, doesn't matter even if you go a little bit more forward. There we go, that looks about right. As much as you can, let the hands go with the turning of the waist going forward and open. But make sure the club face stays square. Okay, that's one little checkpoint you can do in front of a mirror, because you want to make sure you match up this shaft with the yellow shaft, because we pretty much start with the hands slightly ahead of the white, but at impact obviously they need to be ahead. But they're not ahead by leaning into it, very important. They're ahead by creating force, going lateral. People call it linear. Bit flashy word really, just for weight transference onto your front leg. But people like to use flashy words. We actually don't in here, to be fair, because half the time we don't understand them all. But at the same time, it's just kind of old-fashioned teaching. But we don't have to kind of package it in new fancy talk. So it's a bit of weight transference over to the left-hand side, coupled with a bit of twisting. Whew. And that allows the hands to be forward as well. But here we're just giving them a little reminder. There we go. So one thing you can do this exercise at home with a table leg. I remember doing this as a kid. Any object, you can do it with a mat here and push against the mat. If you're at the driving range, you can get your bucket of balls, put the club, get a bit of resistance here so you know you're not going anywhere, and you could just do little twist exercises. And this can happen with a driver as well, a little bit. Maybe not so much hands forward with a driver, but hey, why not? Okay, so remember, this right shoe is very important. If you see from the front, we're not twisting it like that. Because we're kicking our right knee into our left shoe, and I've told a few clients this is what's called the Elvis move. That gives us a little bit of lateral motion that way, together with a little bit of twisting again. So you're holding this impact position. Having something to resist against is a really good one. And you'll really feel it in your back. I can start feeling it a little bit in my back. It really gives you that feeling. Hold for 5. Really good for the kind of the fast twitch muscles, I think. But just really good for the brain to remember this position it wants to swing through. Right, okay, so that's kind of stuff you can do away from hitting a ball. One thing we've got at the academy, you might see these have been floating around if you have any coaching, impact bag. It's just like a vinyl kind of bag. I don't know what it's made of. Got some clothes in it from back in the day from me. God knows what's in there. An impact bag. Let me put something ahead of it. So sorry about faffing about. Hopefully it won't crash over. Actually, sorry. Let's put the practice book bag. Oh, even better. Let's put this in here. Okay, just to stop it going forward. So if you've got an impact bag, and you can get these online, make sure it's good quality because you don't want to break it, and don't be hitting this too hard. What I'm going to do, I'm in proper faff mode today. Right, old club. Now we're going to whack it hard, but it just gives us just a bit of like kind of free hitting without worrying about bending the club. So let's lose these. Well, I'm in faffing mode today. Right. Okay, impact. So what we can do, now we're going to layer these feelings. So you can do a couple of these. Back into it. Shoulders nice and square. A little bit of twisting with our bottom half. A little bit of separation. So we're going to layer a little bit of backswing now. So we're going to coil, like we've always talked about. Just a bit of coil, a bit of hinge. And then we're going to allow the club to swing back into the ball, into the impact bag, making sure we're trying to mimic this impact position as much as we can. Hinge. There we go, don't have to be too hard. Make sure that club face is square. We don't want it open like this. So you're returning this club with your hands forward, head behind, or head in line with where you're hitting. Basically, you're not moving it forward, definitely not moving it back. Keeping nice and coiled. Keep it inside as much as you can. Right elbow close to you. Nice and gently. Drop. Keep it nice and gently. Nice. You don't have to go too hard. Good boy, Trev, for not jumping up. Good. Right, okay, so we're twisting, right. Okay, so that's one little thing that you can do. A little bit of impact bag exercise. Be careful, don't hit them too hard. Don't do too many too early on if you're not used to doing it. Because remember what we said in the previous video. Any changing of golf swing, or especially any kind of resistance work like this is, it's like working out in a gym. Don't go too hard too soon because you'll put a bit of strain, extra strain on those areas. Okay, so how do we hit a ball like this? So absolutely carry on doing that, and that could be one of those things that you can do daily. Only takes a few minutes a day. Golf club in your hand. And like I've always said, you can do it without a golf club because you're training the way the hands and arms drop down and this little bit of separation. There we go. Hands forward. Remember what we're training. We're training impact. Impact is obviously square face, especially with an eye, and you want your hands forward. You want your weight moving forward past where you started. Because remember, where you started and where you hit are two different places. That's difficult in golf because you've got a layer of backswing on top of that. This is why we practice these moves. So let's practice, let's have a practice. So obviously we're not going to stop here. We're going to carry on. We're going to hold for 2, 1, back to stance. Nice half backswing. Carry on through. Feeling like we're swinging through those positions. Again, you're not going to be able to feel it because it's going so quickly. But you're going to give it your best shot. You can imagine that you're from here. You can start layering down swings into the ball without hitting. So slow motion. Head stays there. Hands way forward. Beautiful. Foot up in the air. Knee forward. Whoops. Well done, Trev. Nearly got you there. Dropping your hands down. You're not early extending. Keep the club up in the air. Kick it through, make sure the face is square. Hold, okay. Try and mimic as much as you can. Now what it might feel like is your hands, what you need to feel, remember, you can overdo this. Go for it as much as you can, especially if you're an early extender. It's a great one, keeping lag, keeping a little bit of angle, keeps the club back behind you. Losing that angle throws it over the top. Keep it forward, look how forward those hands are. Now, I don't know if Hogan called it or someone called it the line of tension. It's where your hands, hand and shoulder in line with each other at impact. Difficult to do because everyone wants to stop and flick it. Great if you want to create a bit more compression. You look online for these top players, they're all in this impact position, which is kind of head forward, really forward with a head back, really forward. Knee, weight transference forward, a little bit of twisting, don't have to go mad. There we go, right, let's see if we can swing through that position. Ooh, that felt pretty good. You can layer different speeds onto that. So what I mean by that is you can start hitting slow motion shots, because remember, pros do that, and they do that because they have awareness while they're moving. So it just gives them that extra few milliseconds of awareness while in motion. Because especially if you've got a person that twists their shoulders too much, this is a brilliant one, because remember you're trying to create a bit of separation between your hips and your shoulders. One last little check. When you're doing this exercise, and I will go into more detail about this one, because it requires kind of its own little video, is that impact. You don't want to be on your toes, and you want to be off this right shoe, kind of onto your right toe here. So I'm compressing down into my right toe a little bit. And the weights in my backside of my left bum here is back. So I'm kind of off, the weight's more on my left heel here. I'm not pushed over to my left toe. So there's a rotation of my bottom half, which is allowing that. But I'm keeping that top half up there. One more. Remember, impact, the most important position in golf. There are factors at play to help you get into that good impact position, but if you can feel what impact looks like, especially the square face, everything might fall into place and help you create that compression, speed, power, more distance that you're after. Okay, thank you for stopping by the channel again for myself and Trev. Lovely to have you along. Please let us know in the comments if you've got any questions about this video or any previous videos. I'd love to try and help you, and until the next one, we'll see you then. All the best, hope it goes well, and catch you soon. Cheerio.